What's cracking, everybody? XehrFelrose here, bringing you some Pokemon Go Battle League content. Today's video, we're taking a look at a really strong team in the Fossil Cup brought to us by FRBX Joker Trainer. Thank you very much for sending the battles for Shoutcast. If you'd like to send in battles of your own to Shoutcast on the channel, you can find a link to a Google Doc form in the description pinned comment where you can send in your battles. Trainers, the Fossil Cup is an incredibly RPS cup. I've seen a lot of comments and discussion about it. There's no going about it one of the two ways. Everybody is going to have a different experience with the team, but this team does look very strong, and I'd like to at least take a look, recommend it, because I've used a similar team, and it does look very good. Now, I will also say that these small, 3-type metas tend to have a rotation about them, right? Every day, it seems, or even different times of the day, the meta seems to go in a different direction. So if your team's not working, try again later or try again tomorrow. Sometimes all it takes is changing the time of day that you play to have better results. Because what happens is people are going to adjust to the teams they're seeing. So if a lot of people are seeing Poliwrath leads, you might end up starting to see people running the Jellicents or trying to run other things that beat the Poliwrath leads. And it's going to go in a circle the entire time. So you're going to do well when you catch a good, run of a certain, break of the meta. But anyway, we're going to take a look at this team here by FRBX Joker here, starting with a Jellicent lead. They were probably also seeing a lot of Poliwrath leads. And so Jellicent in this meta is one of my favorite picks. I thought that Berserker was the pick, but it was not, unfortunately. And I'll admit it, I'm wrong. Sometimes it happens. More often than not, it happens. But Berserker, unfortunately, has been dethroned. Jellicent, in my opinion, is one of the best Pokemon in this cup, just simply for the fact that Shadow Ball can hit absolutely everything in this meta for at least neutral damage. This Pokemon has been paired with a Registeel, and if you don't have a Registeel, you can also use another Steel type. You could use something like Escavalier. You could use something else like Berserker, even, if you want to. Just another Pokemon that can handle the issues that Jellicent has. Typically going to be Registeel's, Ferrothorns, thing of the sort. And speaking of Ferrothorns, we're going to round out this team with a Ferrothorn of our own here. Now, you'll notice the IVs here are not like high IV rank 1s. I just want to put this out there that, yes, it's nice to have rank 1 IVs, but you don't always need them. Sometimes the function is all you need. We're going to get into these battles here and get into the first game. Getting into these games here, Poliwrath on the lead, you love to see it. We are going to see the opponent immediately swap into a Mantine, and the Registeel is coming in to make the opponent's day absolutely miserable, and this is exactly what I'm talking about. The opponent has a Poliwrath, strong to Steel, and they probably have two things in the back that are very weak to Steel. Now, unfortunately for them, Registeel is just about as hard of an answer as you could possibly get to this thing, because you easily one-shots and the opponent needs 3 moves to knock it. They just said, screw it, I'm done. You know what? Me too, man. Good game. Getting into the next game, another Poliwrath on the lead. This is where you want to see it on the lead for sure. Now, Registeel is going to come in, and I like this play a lot with the Surf first. Now, the reason why I like this, and it's a play that I've been seeing quite a bit, especially in a meta like this where Registeel can be common enough. You see how much damage that Focus Blast did. What that Surf did was it chipped the Registeel just enough so that one Focus Blast is going to guarantee a shield or the KO here. The opponent does decide to shield up. Perhaps they've been in the situation before, knowing they can win switch. No attack drop on the Zap Cannon, but Registeel is getting dangerously low here. I don't know that it's actually going to be able to survive these lock-ons. It's not. Going to catch a move on the Jellicent. Was this the Focus Blast? The opponent knew to go for the Zap Cannon? That's wild. There's no way, dude. There's no way. Opponent's going to come straight back in with the Poliwrath. Never fear, though. Ferrothorn is in the back. Shields are completely down here. And hopefully, with one shield, the opponent is rocking that Dynamic Punch Poliwrath. This will be a farm down for the Ferrothorn and maybe might not be such a bad game. Now, Power-Up Punch! No! That's not what we wanted! The Power-Up Punch going to try to get to the Power Whip, but unfortunately, the game forces an overtap here. Registeel trying to come in, but not needed. Registeel is going to come in, but unfortunately, the trainer forgets where the Registeel's at on energy. And honestly, I did too, because didn't they just throw a move and dip? Anyway. Good attempt. Difficult game. Into the next game. 3 Poliwraths in a row. Hello? Are we going to play the lottery next? Going for the same exact play as last time. This might be a consistent play for them. Unfortunately, in this exact scenario, we already saw that the opponent could take switch by doing this play. If one Focus Blast does go through, that does kind of spell disaster here, because now we've seen that the lock-ons are enough to knock out the Registeel afterwards. Now, you could certainly say that a bulkier Registeel with a higher HP stat probably could take this situation and flip it, right? If you had, you know, like a high rank Registeel, 4, 12, 15, or I don't know the IVs off the top of my head. I'm just thinking of something that has a higher HP stat. You would have probably been able to get to the third Focus Blast and not worry about losing all that HP. It's something that happens right when the IVs, like, they do matter when they matter and they don't matter at the same time, right? Because we would much rather have function here as opposed to, you know, not having the Registeel at all. And I completely am down with that. So, opponent is going to get this farm down here, unfortunately, and the Ferrothorn's going to come in to try and clean this game up. Opponent's going to go for the Thunder, but I think you just farm down this whole Ferrothorn here and going to be able to... Oh, they get to a move. That's unfortunate. But I think that might just be a Power Whip. Nope, it's another Thunder. I'll eat Crow here, too. Going to come in with the Registeel, going for this Thunder here, and it's not even enough, but the opponent comes in with their Poliwrath. Is this going to be enough to get the knockout? We'll see. Registeel... No, Registeel. No, it's a Ferrothorn, man. Coming in with their Registeel to try to catch a move, but able to get into the Ferrothorn here with the power uploaded, and that's going to be enough to knock out Registeel. That's a good game. Well played. Games are a little bit faster than I'm used to, but we're getting into the next game with a bad lead. Finally, the leads have turned against us. Lantern on the opponent's side of the field. Now, they're staying in with its Lantern here against the Registeel. The Registeel definitely has loose conditions here against the Lantern, even though it's technically a losing matchup for the Lantern on PV Poke, but that does not mean that Lantern can't win this, especially if the Registeel doesn't shield anything, and the opponent is clearly showing that they are weak in the back to the Registeel by showing the shield. Now, that's important information here, because that does tell me that they don't have a fighter in the back, and they may have something like Ferrothorn in the back. They may also have something like Jellicent, Mantine, something else that really just doesn't do well into the Registeel. So we're going to see the opponent get this farm down, but the nice thing here is that now we've kept the Jellicent far away from the Lantern. The opponent is going to swap into their own. Ferrothorn and Jellicent is going to come in and try to make something of itself here, as it looks like the opponent is 2 times strong to the Jellicent, looking to try and get some use out of the Jelly here. I don't mind that play here. It's going to depend on what's in the back completely, but we'll see once we get through this Ferrothorn. The opponent also shielding up the Ferrothorn. I don't know if they're weak. Well, we missed it. No, we're trying to commit to the Shadow Ball, but not able to go for the Surf. The Surf may have helped Ferrothorn clean this game up a bit here, but Power Whip is going to be thrown here. The opponent not going for Thunder here. You definitely want to go for Thunder in the mirror because it is only single resisted as opposed to double resisted. There's the Thunder. Now the Ferrothorn is loading up on energy here, looking to get up to a Thunder and then some before throwing, which I like. You want to have some energy on the back end for whatever's going to come in next. And the opponent just rips into their Mantine, and Trainer, Thunder's going to do some damage here. That's not going to be good for them. Thunder, boom! It almost gets the knockout, dude. You have to shield this Aerial Ace, though. It is definitely going to be one of the harder hitting moves left in the game, so this is a good place to use the shield. Going to get the farm down here on this Mantine, and then the opponent is not looking like they're going to have a win condition here. The Ferrothorn's going to come back in, very, very close to getting knocked out here. A single Thunder would be very close to knocking out, and that's crazy. They go for the Power Whip. Crazy no shield there. I actually think that maybe they knew that that was only a Power Whip they were counting, which is good. That's always a good thing, right? Thunder is going to nearly knock out the Ferrothorn. You have to shield this, unfortunately. Now we're down to the last bit of HP on this Ferrothorn, but the opponent comes in and loses charge attack priority to the Lantern. Oh, the stupid fish prevails again, man. Oh, good game. That was very close. Well played. It was very difficult not having anywhere to go with the Jellicent. Next game, speaking of nowhere to go with the Jellicent, we see Ferrothorn. Now, Ferrothorn is going to come into this matchup here, hoping the opponent swaps out, and they come in with a Poliwrath. Poliwrath is going to have to shield these moves here, as Power Whip would nearly knock out, and Thunder definitely would as well. So Power Whip is going to be thrown here once again. The opponent over farming, maybe, or not even at their move. They did swap in very late, giving up both shields to get this off here, and the opponent does have to throw energy here in order to stop the Ferrothorn from getting to that third Power Whip, which at this point would definitely be enough to knock out. Saving 2 shields, hoping that this is their only answer to the steel types. They come in with the Jellicent here to hard wall this Poliwrath's energy, going up to the Shadow Ball and throwing it. Would like to see a bit of an over farm here personally, but this is fine. Just get the thing out of here. But if we had gone for one more for the timing and the over farm here, actually I think that they wouldn't have been able to get to this Icy Wind, but that's fine. Looking to swap into the Registeel anyway, so it doesn't matter how many debuffs are on this thing. We got rid of the opponent's Poliwrath. Ferrothorn's coming back in, and they have a Lantern in the back, and 2-0 shield advantage is going to allow this Registeel to decimate the rest of this team. The opponent getting the attack drop right off the bat before even being able to throw a Thunderbolt here. There's no hope for this trainer, unfortunately. They're forced to go for Surfs to try and get shields here, and they're not going to be able to get them here. Zap Cannon is going to get off here. You would probably be better off going for the Focus Blast here, as it does do enough damage, but just because it's a Lantern. Boom! The Focus Blast, I think, does slightly more damage than Zap Cannon. I'm sure that someone in the comments will let me know. And I appreciate the knowledge. After using Registeel a bit myself, I'm pretty confident that the Focus Blast does slightly more damage in neutral situations. But this is not a neutral situation. This Focus Blast is going to be super effective and hit this Ferrothorn where it hurts. Boom! Knocking it out. Good game. Getting into the next game, we got the Jellicent on the lead versus Poliwrath. We love to see it. The opponent is going to end up swapping out, and Jellicent comes in. Now, there's two ways you could have played this out here, right? You come in straight with the Ferrothorn, get straight to the move, makes a lot of sense as well. You just want to get rid of this thing, get it off the field, that you'll save the Jellicent. But another play that we could have done here is the Jellicent could have stayed in long enough to throw the Shadow Ball, because the opponent having that one turn delay when they switch in the beginning of the game like that, that actually allows your own Jellicent to get to the Shadow Ball before theirs does, and then you can swap out after getting basically a free shield for it. Now, opponent's Poliwrath is going to come in here, but they are going to have to shield a Power Whip or lose almost all of their Poliwrath. This is a dangerous situation to be in for the Poliwrath. They do decide to shield here, and honestly, that's fine, because all the energy they get from this farm down is going nowhere into the Jellicent, and Registeel up a shield, and it's got this Ferrothorn in the back too. Trainer says, no thanks, I'm out. Me too. Good game. Getting into the next game, Jellicent versus Lantern. Lantern on the lead, not so great. Going straight into the Registeel as a safe swap, drawing out an Escavalier. Definitely prefer to see this on the safe swap as well, because now Ferrothorn is free of it. Even if the opponent has, like, for example, oh my goodness, they let that go, meaning that they know that they're, oh, trainer shield this. Oh, please shield this. Shield it. Yes! Now that the trainer knows, after Joker sees that they can get switch advantage, they can put the Ferrothorn on the Lantern, and even though they have a Lucario in the back, Jellicent can do okay here, and even then, Ferrothorn can also land a Thunder later in this game as well. The opponent is going to be able to get this farm down, but you definitely just put the Jellicent here. Even though the opponent likely has the Thunder Punch and possibly Shadow Ball, you just let a move go here, you never get knocked out by the first move, and you just go straight for these Thunder Punches here. The opponent looking to go for another move. I think that's, that's a charge attack prioritize, so they're going to be forced to shield or save the shield for the Lantern, which either way is going to be very miserable when it comes to dealing with this Ferrothorn. Surf, gonna get the shield. Opponent looking to try to catch a move or just swap out here, but Lantern's coming in and getting destroyed by this Ferrothorn. The opponent knows it and they concede. Good game. Getting in the next game, we got mirror leads here. I think it's better. Okay, no, I actually don't think it's better to swap, because the Registeel will have to take a Shadow Ball before it can even get to a move. Now, going for this Surf here is going to hopefully get a shield. The opponent now has to call this bait, and they shield up the Surf. Always feels bad, but at least it wasn't a Bubble Beam, right? So, going to shield up a potential Shadow Ball. The opponent does full send the Shadow Ball, and now we're going to see Joker go just straight for their own Shadow Ball. The opponent, unlikely to double shield, but if they do, in comes the Registeel, and Registeel is now up energy, and the opponent comes in with Lucario, and Lucario is not even going to be able to get to a move here. Registeel going off. Boom! Oh, the damage! The absolute destruction. Registeel is just standing there menacingly. And the Jellicent comes back in to throw a charge move. This is probably a Shadow Ball here. The opponent did have some energy before they left, but Registeel is going to be able to get to a Zap Cannon in pretty short order, but the opponent does decide to throw some energy here. They probably have a Surf at this point. No, that's a Shadow Ball. They had a lot of energy, man. 1, 2, 3, going for the Zap Cannon. This is going to knock out the Jellicent. Got my hand on the button, dude. There's a lot of buttons with the Registeel today. All right. Boom! You don't underestimate it. That's gonna be it. Opponent comes up with a Lantern, and Ferrothorn says hello, goodbye. We're laughing. The Ferrothorn comes in, laughs, and the opponent leaves. Speaking of Ferrothorns laughing, the opponent has a Ferrothorn lead in the next game, and Jellicent immediately pivots out into the into the Ferrothorn here. Now, once again, right, this is important because the opponent does not, maybe have an answer to the Ferrothorn. This is telling us here that they do not have a fighter in the back with which to hard counter this Ferrothorn with, which is really important information, because that hopefully means Registeel is going to have a better time in the back later. The other thing, too, here is that the opponent's Ferrothorn is staying in and the switch clock is being consumed. It's almost up already. You could switch out if you want to. The opponent also committing to this matchup means that we're keeping it away from the Jellicent. So we're in a really good spot here, even if the opponent decides that they want to stay in. Now, we're going to see the Registeel pivot in after saving that energy on the Ferrothorn, going for the Zap Cannon, but the opponent wins charge attack priority with the Golisopod, and they're going to be able to get a Liquidation, which they're one of the rare people running Golisopod with Liquidation. I've seen most of them have been Aerial Ace and X-Scissor in this meta. Zap Cannon going to get the shield and an attack drop here. Ideal situation to be in. Getting shields with this Registeel. Opponent overfarms perfectly, being able to throw that move on exactly when they need to here. Another Liquidation coming through, but the attack drop really, really paying off here as the opponent does not get even a knockout from that, and you get both shields. No attack drop on the second Zap Cannon, but at this point, Ferrothorn comes in, has the Thunder loaded, and now they're just a shield. This is CMP tie. Opponent goes for the X-Scissor here, and that's fine because you're going to see this Thunder's going to knock out this Jellicent. It's going to be bright Jellicent. Boom! It's a Golisopod, not a Jellicent. But opponent comes in with the Ferrothorn, and now it's all up to Jellicent. We're going to have to see what the opponent's got in the back here. Jellicent immediately pivots in here. Going to come in with a Lantern. This is really good here because the Lantern is down a shield, and 2 Shadow Balls will knock out. As long as we successfully shield up the Thunderbolt, this is a very winnable situation here. You have to use the shield here, unfortunately, but if we can come out of this matchup with enough energy to hit that Ferrothorn or force them to throw energy, there's a chance that the Ferrothorn in the back might be able to get to that Thunder. Shadow Ball gonna go off. If we're counting here, it would have been much more ideal here, I think, to overfarm in order to get to this energy. But going for the Surf, wait, huh? They should have thrown the Surf. Why did the game force us an overtap? And now the opponent has all the energy they need in order to get to 2 moves. Really unfortunate. They actually should have lost. They should have won that game because the Jellicent had the Surf and it should have gone off. But another game, another Ferrothorn lead, getting immediately into the Ferrothorn. The same thing as last time, and the opponent once again not swapping out here. The thing is with this Ferrothorn safe swap, at least in this Fossil Cup meta, a lot of the times, Mirror Shot, Trainer, please. Why are we not running Thunder, Trainer? No! You want... Mirror Shot is bad. Don't do it. In Fossil Cup, Mirror Shot is bad. I'm sorry. It is. You want Thunder in every situation. You just about always want the Thunder. Especially in this one, where there is a mirror situation happening. The opponent comes in with the Golisopod, but the energy lead on the Ferrothorn is huge. And also, now the switch timer is almost... up. It's worth keeping in mind here that as soon as the opponent brings in a Pokemon, we could swap out and get good alignment. So the opponent comes in immediately with the Ferrothorn. Registeel is going to come in here to take advantage of these switch clocks being misaligned by almost 40 seconds, I think I saw. So opponent's going to go and just throw as many mirror shots as they can. They're praying for the debuff, but at this point, they're probably either going to have to deal with whatever's in the back, or the opponent's got to shield the Ferrothorn. So going for this Focus Blast, is it going to be enough? Absolutely, from this range. Boom! Boom! The opponent is Jellicent in the back. We are having play against this entire rest of this Jellicent here. And the sad thing here for the opponent is that they can't swap out, and they get the attack debuff. They can't clear it now, and that's really huge because with that attack debuff, that prevents the opponent from being able to one-shot the Jellicent with a Shadow Ball or even come close to it. Now we have a choice to make. Do we shield up and get another Zap Cannon off? Going for it for the Zap Cannon. Going to be able to get it off here. This is going to force the opponent to shield or to lose the Jellicent entirely. And then it's going to just Jellicent comes in, gets to a Shadow Ball. Again, the opponent has 2 stage debuffs. They cannot one-shot the Shadow Ball, and they just threw that Surf. So their energy dry for the most part. Shadow Ball not going to be even close to enough. Whereas Joker's Shadow Ball is definitely going to do it. We're going to close this game out with a boom. Boom! Taking out the Jellicent. Very nicely done here, well played. Some very interesting finesse points with this team, but overall, very strong looking team. And again, if you don't have the Registeel, or even if you don't have the strong IV Registeel, right? Like you could use a Berserker or some other sort of safe swap that is able to beat the things that Jellicent is weak to. That's really what you want, is just have a lead that you like, and then 2 things in the back that are going to be able to cover the weaknesses in this cup of that thing. So, right, in this case, Jellicent doesn't really like to deal with... I mean, honestly, Jellicent's just really freaking good. But Ferrothorn is probably the hardest answer, so you want 2 things in the back to beat Ferrothorn. But that's going to do it for today's video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. We're going to catch you in the next one. Hopefully, we'll see you on stream tonight at 6 p.m. Eastern. As again, always on Friday, we're going to play some Go Battle League and have some fun doing it. So thank you all so much for watching. We'll catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.